YouTube, Mad Dog here. I thought I'd show you all a selection of homemade, lightweight, easy do-it-yourself stoves. The reason I'm doing this is, as you all know, you go on the internet and buy a folding stove, and some of them are really expensive. You know, bearing in mind, for me, this is just a personal opinion. I mean, if you're going on a Himalayan expedition, then you want the best quality equipment that you can afford to carry. But if you're just out for a day, out in the woods or in your local recreational area, where you might just want a brew at the end of your hike, or, you know, just, this is basically heating up enough water to do a brew, a cup of tea, coffee, whatever. So it only has to be a small, lightweight carry stove. So for a day, you know, you've got your car 4 or 5 miles away in the car park. You know, why go to a 50-60 pound folding stove when you can simply make something yourself out of scrap? So I've done a few examples here, and I'll just quickly run through them all so that you can get a rough idea what I've been doing. So I'll start with one of the most basic ones, this little fella. It's like a solid version of the Esbit stove. So basically this would rely on fuel tablets. So it's a piece of sheet steel, and all I've done is cut 4 tabs basically and folded them in opposite directions. So that just makes some room here on the bench. So this obviously will stand like that, and then your grid can go across the top for small cook vessels like a cup, a steel cup. You get your solid fuel stove tablets under there lit up, and away you go. When it's extinguished, throw it all in your kit and away you go, job done. And it costs nothing. You know, if your cook vessel is bigger than a cup, then that would sit directly across the top of the 2 bent flaps. So it's enough, you know, just enough to do a brew. So that's one idea. I'm just kicking ideas about, so please bear with me. I've only, as you can see, really thrown these together rough as you like. No finesse whatsoever. Just purely as a demonstrator to say, save your money, you know. Another one is this. It's a simple piece of mesh off an old, you know, one of these, the disposable barbecue type thing. And I found an old perforated disc here. It doesn't have to be. You can use another piece of the mesh instead. And basically, I mean, look how flat that is to carry in your kit, and it weighs nothing, obviously. And basically, because it's flexible mesh, just roll it round into a rough conical shape. Flip the lid over, which I've just secured on by bending a piece of wire. Get your fuel going in there, and again get your cook pot on it. You know, this would work good on loose ground, so you can snuggle it into the loose ground to make it more of a stable platform. So that's just another idea. And when you've done, roll that piece of mesh back out flat again, ish, you know, it's not rocket science, and then throw that on. And that would even go in a map folder. You know, it's as thin as the piece of mesh is. So again, it will do the job at a push, and it's free. This one I've done a little bit more work, but again, very simple, easy do it yourself. And this is a piece of stainless steel shimming, just thin gauge flexible steel. As you can see, I've cut a hole out like a mouse hole, if you like. That's where the fuel's going to go. On either side I've drilled a small hole so that I can attach a simple coach bolt there and a wing nut. I'll just show you how this comes together. This one you've got to be careful you don't cut yourself with, because it's thin sharp steel. But just roll it round into a conical shape again. Put the bolt through both of the holes that line up like so. Whack that wing nut back on, just nip it up, it don't have to be crazy tight. Now that'll hold and maintain the shape, so that'll stand up like so. You get your fuel or your fire going underneath, and then I've made a small griddle out of some of that mesh. I've bent the sides down just to add a little bit more rigidity, so that when that slot's just over the top, there you go, little rocket stove. Dead simple, dead easy, and it's made out of scrap. So once that's fired up, you can keep feeding your small sticks of wood through there until you've got a rolling boil. That's enough, surely. when you've done, remove the griddle. Obviously when it's cool, undo the wing nut. I'm just whipping through this because hopefully you get the general idea. It's not hard. That's what you've got to be careful of when it flies open, and that opens out completely flat again. So dead light, dead easy to carry. Obviously secure the nut back through one of the holes when not in use with the wing nut, just so that you don't lose it in your kit. Yeah, so that's dead easy. So that's another little idea. Then you've seen this one before, stainless steel tin with a window cut out, a few rough-assed holes drilled into it. Stand that anywhere you like, griddle on top, hobo stove, get your wood in there, get it lit up. I use one of these regularly when I camp out to do a brew on in the morning, as you've probably seen in previous videos. Very effective, but again it takes more space up. You could utilise that space for storage as well if you are going to carry one of these, but very effective. And lastly I've got this little contraption here, and it's basically 3 pieces of flat steel. And what I've done, I'll open this out, another griddle there, I'll open it out. So I've got 3 pieces of equal size, and I've drilled 2 holes in each side of them pieces, all apart from one corner. Again, I've cut out a little window at the front facing piece of the steel, and then just bound these together with a bit of wire, you know, whether it be electrical wire, or in this case this is the old piece of braiding out of an old armoured cable, you know, that type of thing. Anything would do. It's only to secure it together, so you stand that up like so, griddle on top, and you're cooking. You know, keep feeding your wood in underneath as per normal. So, and again, made out of scrap. So when you've done, remove the griddle, fold everything flat, and that ain't bad. You know, and it weighs a reasonable, you know, it's good enough for a stove. It's not dead heavy. Why not? That'll go in a little sack, whatever, in your bag. Just made out of scrap. So all I'm saying is, the moral of this story is, you know, if you're only using it for weekend use, not serious use where your life will depend on it, then have a go at making your own. For how much they cost. They're not complicated, they're not hard. You know, keep your eyes open in the skips. One man's junk's another man's treasure and all that. It doesn't have to be complicated just to get a cup of water boiling. If you're in an area where you've got something like this, but you're not allowed to light a fire directly onto the ground, take some tin foil with you and just line the ground with tin foil first, 4 rocks on each corner, get that on top, light your fire, then you can wrap the whole thing up when you've done, move on, leave no trace. Happy days. So I don't know if any of you guys and lasses will find any of this useful, but I just thought I'd share a few basic ideas out there to try and hopefully save some of you some money. Because some of this bushcraft survival stuff, when you go to the proper shops, it's so expensive for what you actually get. You know, so have a go at making your own. If it doesn't work, then it's nothing ventured, nothing gained. It doesn't matter. You're going to buy one anyway. So that's my opinion anyway. So hope you find some of this rubbish useful. I thought I'd just quickly share them little snippets with you. Thank you all very much for watching, as always. I really appreciate it. Take care out there. I'll see you on the next one, which won't be long. Mad Dog signing off. Yeah.